Marines get out here. Kind of interesting that Jinro is being this aggressive with just this handful of Marines. Definitely needs to reinforce it, which is exactly what he's doing. And look at this. Jinro is not even putting add-ons onto these barracks. This is something that you're seeing more and more of from Terran players. I mean, yeah, sure, there's one barracks, but that's just to get out a couple Marauders as well as Stimpak. But we are seeing a lot of Terran players go for these massive amounts of barracks and just pumping Marines straight out of them without any add-ons. Now, Jinro is going to be going for this high-yield expansion. Again, it is really easy to defend this compared to how the map used to be, because before, there was a very short rush distance around here that you could go to this high-yield expansion, but you cannot do that anymore because of those rocks. It takes a while to kill them, and so it is much easier to defend this expansion right now, which Jinro knows that is abusing the fact, not really abusing, when I say abuse, I mean really just taking advantage of and utilizing what you have to work with. And so he is utilizing the map changes by getting this high yield expansion. He's been utilizing it since he grabbed this normal expansion as well. So I really like his playstyle in this game. I think it's going to give him off to a really good start here. And the Zealot Lakes has completed. We are also seeing a Templar Archives, a brilliant choice here from Socke, because he is definitely going to need to deal with these mass Marines. This army is very Marine heavy and not very Marauder heavy. So if you can get out one or two good storms, a couple of good charges on the Zealots, then that is going to melt away that army very quickly. He knows that, which is why he is working towards that Psystorm. Now, one thing that's awesome is if you can get your opponent to make out Vikings, not make out with Vikings, but to make Vikings, and then you don't actually have any Colossus for them to shoot, and then your Psystorms are that much more effective. Although it looks like Jinro playing very smart, not even getting out a single Viking in this game as far as I can tell. No, he does not have one charging those Marines, but those Marines sacrifice themselves to tell the base back at home that they do have charge now. There is no Marauder Soldier. Force Field trying to trap some units. Again, Socke not having the best luck there with those Force Fields, as he was only able to kill that one Marauder. And he did get a stem off on Jinro, which this is really good, because this army, I mean, Marines, they are super squishy. If you stem them a couple of times, I mean, they're just a couple of slices away from death from those Zealots. If we do look at the army size tab, 92 from Jinro, as well as 92 from Socke there, so they are macroing almost identically, and he is getting that Psystorm out. He does have two High Templar here. He does have a third one somewhere on the map, and I really like how he's being active with this Phoenix. He's been able to keep it alive for a very long time. Even got to use it to shoot this factory just a little bit, which anything you can do, really. I mean, if you kill this factory, then it's not going to be able to scout you, so it's really good. Needs to make sure to, actually, I'm not sure why he's not still shooting that, but probably for the better, as the Marines there are the Marines are there to defend that. Now, he does have a bunch of Zealots here, and he does, not as many sentries as I would expect. However, the reason for that is because of those High Templar. They are so gas intensive, and we should be seeing some pretty redonkulous storms. I did see one Ghost Academy. I don't see a Ghost on the field quite yet, as there is one on production right now, though. So we are getting the Khaidarian Amulet as well as Protoss Armor. Does he have another upgrade? No, he's actually going straight for the armor. Not a bad choice, though, because you want your Zealots to be robust against those Marines, while the Storms are the ones actually doing the damage, not the Zealots. Now, it does look like Socke is going to be getting that high yield expansion of his own. It is going to be slightly delayed, though, compared to his opponent's timing. And so far, this game has just been macro. We have seen a couple of units go down. Oh, 1,300 for Socke and 525 for Jinro. Not a huge discrepancy. I'm guessing that these guys, yeah, there you go. They were able to kill something over here, as well as working on that pylon. So just slight drops right there. It does look like the main base very low on probes, which is a very frustrating thing for Socke to deal with, as he probably lost a couple there. A couple of those, though, should be running down here to kill this. Don't know if it's actually going to be enough. At the same time, though, he is going to be attacking, able to kill that bunker, I believe, before it got salvaged. And there are now 5 High Templar here. However, it's going to come down to if this Ghost can get the EMP off, or is there going to be a feedback on the Ghost. He wants to feedback it, but one Storm going to go down there, softening up that army a tiny bit, not actually killing anything, but every Storm you can get off is going to drain the medevacs of their energy. But at the same time, you also are draining your High Templar of energy by using that Psystorm. Now, he needs to keep these High Templar in the back. Make sure they do not get EMP'd. I think there is just one Ghost in here. There he is right there. And he is going to try and EMP him, but no, he does get feedback and able to kill that Ghost in one shot. All that remains of him is a Bloodstain. I don't know if there's another Ghost on the field yet. There is one somewhere. Not exactly where he is. There he is. Don't tell him what happened to his buddy, as that was absolutely brutal. That's one thing that a lot of Protoss players always forget to do, is use feedback on the Ghost there. So storming there, one Marine, the unfortunate one that died. And I really like what he's doing here with these. Wow, how did this guy get all the way down here? And he's going to go past all these scouting guys, or not scouting, but rallied guys before getting taken out there. And so wisely going to back out here. He was able to take a little bite out of his opponent there with a couple of Psy Storms, getting out one Void Ray. Don't know if he's going to continue producing those. He has not produced any more right now. Void Rays are a good late game transition that a lot of players forget about, because if there's no Vikings on the field, you can use them to kill medevacs and such very, very quickly. Just of course got to watch out for those Marines. But I always like to have 1 or 2 Void Rays in my army. I definitely think they are underrated. Even after the recent changes to their damage, I still think that they're good. We're getting a Warp Prism on the field right now and actually grabbing this expansion, which is like within spitting distance of his opponent's main base. But again, these rocks right here make it very easy to defend, although there's no way he's going to defend it against this drop. This drop is going to prevent this expansion from completing. There you go, unload right there. That is going to have to get canceled. 1 Void Ray scouting down into the bottom right side. The Warp Prism is almost completed. He will need that Warp Prism to actually expand to that Island Expo if he decides to. I don't think there's any way this expansion can be saved whatsoever. It is going down very, very quickly. Some of you are trying to get down here. Don't know if it's going to be enough. Need to cancel it. I think he did manage to cancel it. Feedback right there, but it only did 6 damage as it did not have very much energy. So really, that was a complete waste, but he was trying to one-shot it there. It was not going to be enough, though. The Warp Prism, can he make something happen here? Low, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he's doing this right in front of these units. And 1 High Templar does go down, able to storm the SCVs. Only able to kill 3, it looked like there. So that was 300 gas down the tubes, as that did not do a whole lot there. But you know what? He tried it. And I always forget that once you get the Criterion Amulet, you can do storm drops like that. However, not when there's a medevac full of units right there to prevent that from happening. Although, it may end up paying for itself because he has not transferred more workers back into these geysers, which is going to hurt his Vespene production quite a bit. That's something that a lot of players always forget, or not always forget, but that is something that players tend to forget to do, is putting SCVs back in that gas, which in the long run can really end up hurting you. EMP is going down, and this army is getting more and more scary. That is so many ghosts, although they are just a couple of storms away from all dying. However, that is going to be enough energy for a crazy amount of EMPs. I'm not quite sure exactly what Socke can do against it, though, as I'm curious about the army size. It is 200 for Jinro. Wow, he is actually already maxed out, while Socke only has 156. There's a small battle over here with a Warp Prism and a Void Ray, not really battling as much as they are running. And so it looks like a couple of units could be morphing in here. Just 1 High Templar. The SCVs are like, screw that, man. I am getting out of here. And I really only got to be able to storm a couple of Marines here, and that is all that is going to work. And a couple of units are going to spawn here. Just a couple of Zealots, so although if he micros them back to the Planetary Fortress, they will be fine, which is exactly what he's doing. And he is going to be getting this expansion up in the top left, bringing in some 5 SCVs, loading them up inside that command center, because it has not been upgraded into an orbital command, so you can still do that. It looks like Socke really trying to make something happen here. The Void Ray is going to be attacking the supply depot, not really going to do that much, I would say, but the Warp Prism could warp in some units behind enemy lines. There is only 1 armor upgrade done for our Terran player, although it does look like he is getting Cloaking for the Ghost, as well as Siege Tech, and 2 nukes, as well as a 3rd Ghost Academy. So he is definitely going to be using a crazy amount of nukes here, and he plans to stick with it for quite some time, I would say, because you don't get that many Ghost Academies if you don't plan to use them. So 2 Ghosts now do have their cloaking completed. They are at full energy, so they are going to be moving into the opponent's base. Could potentially nuke right here, as well as somewhere else. Oh, sniping a High Templar there. That was nice. Getting a free kill, although that is going to reveal to his opponent where his ghosts are. Does he have an observer? He does have 1 observer. I don't think it's going to be enough there. Sniping another High Templar. Could potentially nuke this expansion if he so feels like it, although he doesn't actually have the nuke right now. Now, this is something we don't see very often, is going to be worker harassment with Cloaked Ghosts. It is actually very effective if you can come up with a good location to put them in, which so far they're in a pretty good location here, forcing those probes to run away. Thankfully for Socke, he is going to spot this ghost, although he needs to move a little bit to the right there. That nuke did go off, only doing 500 damage there to that Nexus, not really doing anything else to those workers that they were able to evacuate out of there. Another nuke is going down on top of these high yield expansion probes. They definitely need to get out of there, as these probes are in the danger zone, able to kill that ghost, so thankfully they can go back to their stress-free job. And another nuke is going to go down. This expansion is completely undefended, and he is nuking right here, which really he's just forcing the probes to run around, and it's actually probably paying off, because Socke is only mining for like 1 base right now. Some storms going down on this choke right there. A little bit of overkill on the storms. That's actually not that many units to be using storms on. but it will be enough to kill them, it looks like, as they are trying to retreat.